all okay? Now, for anybody who hasn't been to one of our sessions or one of the RIAK sessions, my name's Rich. I'm the founder and head coach of RIAK Fitness. We're a cycling and triathlon coaching outfit, and we also support the online events company, mainly because I'm also a co-founder. So nice little tie up there. This session is we're putting on a climbing workshop for one of our events that's coming up at the weekend, called Les Cinglés de MONT-VENTOUX VIRTUEL. I've got a terrible French accent. I'm not even sure that's correct French. I did check with a French friend before we started publicising this event, and she sort of shrugged her shoulders and sort of said, yeah, close enough. It's almost French. So if anyone is French or French speaking and takes offence by the poor quality of my French, I do apologise. But off we go then on the course. So we've got a great course this evening. It's a route from our partners Serre, the lovely cycling B&B in Provence, up to the top of Col Saint-Jean, and along the way we're going to be talking climbing. Okay, but just anyone that just joined a little bit later, my name is Rich, one of the co-founders of the online events company. And next weekend we've got this fantastic event, Les Cinglés de MONT-VENTOUX VIRTUEL, which is essentially riding all three sides of Mont-Ventoux in one go. Made possible by our exclusive relationship with WahooRGT, who's rendering this course at the moment. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about the route and the event. But first, just wanted to introduce Kate and Paul, who are joining us on Zoom here, and I'll probably bring them onto the stream shortly. But they're from Serre, as I said a moment ago. This is a really lovely cycling B&B nestled in the Meuse Valley. The Gorge de la Meuse, I believe is the correct term, correct name. But they're going to be chatting to us all about Mont-Ventoux and just talking about the different climbs, what the challenges that each of them brings. So it should hopefully be great. Yeah, that all things Mont-Ventoux. I don't know if any of you have any experiences, but yeah, it's meant to be an interactive session, guys, so if anyone's got any questions at any point, please do feel free to shout. Also, those following on the live stream, we'll be keeping abreast of any comments on any of the social channels, so please feel free to leave your comments there as well, and we'll pick them up. Reminds me, let's get my little chat doodle up so I can actually see what everyone is saying. Maybe not. But guys, just settle in terms of the ride itself. It's just meant to be a bit of a cruise. You can see from the topography there's a hefty climb. That's Col Saint-Jean, which I will be talking about in detail shortly. But we've got plenty of time to warm up. This isn't meant to be a smash fest. We have got the rubber banding effect on, which means we pretty much stick together. But if anyone's joining a little bit late, do not worry. Just crack on, ride at your own pace, basically. I'm going to be kind of riding through at around just over 2 watts per kilo, so I can actually talk still. Okay, we're going to be talking about various things when it comes to climbing and how to get better, form, positioning on the bike, the actual training itself. Obviously, you've only got a week until the Cinglés, but you know, something to take away for the future. And we do hope it will be an annual event. So yeah, let's train for next year if you aren't perhaps 100% confident in your abilities. Now, we'll also be talking about things like power to weight, and the some of the myths about power to weight and being everyone's obsession with being as light as possible. We can have a little quick chat about that. As I say, any other things you want to talk about, just shout at any point, and a little word. Okay, so first just wanted to talk about the event next Saturday. Now, if I can get this lined up, hopefully I'll be able to show you the route. I'll start by showing you tonight's route though. Okay, so not that one. This is Port St John. This is the route that we're doing at the moment. So we're starting in at Serre, which is the site Paul and Kate's gap. I'll be showing you some photos so you can get a better idea of that as well. But we're starting off there, so it's pretty cruisy. It looks sort of like a bit of a false flat. I've been to Serre a few times. I always like this route. This is probably the best kind of I don't know, like short route that they do, because it's good, like a good one for a bike check. You get a bit of a blast. So you can see we turn off the main road, and then it suddenly ramps up and gets all a little bit squiggly, and then we finish just over the top of the climb. A little bit of a cool down on sort of like half the descent. But you can see we've got about 23 k's to do. May take an hour, may take 2 hours, no idea. That's half the fun with these sessions. But just do as much or as little as you want, guys. It's just so that we have something to do and so you guys come away feeling like you've done something. But it's quite a testing course, quite a testing route. You've got ramps upwards of 7%, and then I think it gets a bit steeper towards the top. Yeah, you see you've got little sections of about 8%. So I chose this route because Col Saint Jean is, I don't know, it's a little bit representative of sort of the slopes that you'll tackle when you do Les Cinglés. Okay, so it's a bit of a sort of a warm up for that. So that's what we're up to, and then this one is the full route. This is the beast, 102 kilometers of pretty much just climbing up and down, not much in the way of flat. Well, the way we're doing it, which I think when I spoke to Paul was not the 100% the most accurate way, but when you're mapping a virtual route, you have to make certain accommodations. So we're going to go up the So route to begin with, which is the so-called easier side. Okay, but it's actually a bit longer than the others, but it's takes you up to Capé Reynard, and then you have that, I think it's about 6 k's to the top from there, and it just ramps up and it's horrible. Then you've got a lovely descent down to Malacen. We're going to turn around, and then we go up the Malacen route, which, well, Paul and I were discussing this yesterday. Personally, I felt was the hardest one, but we did do Malacen last when we did it last, so I guess everything's going to feel like the hardest. But you've got some nasty 11% ramps on that, and then you send back down, all the way back down to a place called Bedouin, and then we're going to do what's known traditionally as the toughest climb back up. So finishing with the hardest one, and then you see the thing about Bedouin is that it starts off relatively easy. I think you've got about 4 k's or so, 4, 5, 6 k's or so of actually kind of quite steady gradients, and then it cranks right up. Anyway, I'm not the expert there. We're going to be talking to the experts very shortly, but that's just a quick run through of what Les Cinglés is about. It's going to be a long day in the office, and that's why we're running it, basically, because it's something that we need our exclusive access to a 24-hour server for. Okay, so that's the event itself. That's on Saturday, kicks off at 10 a.m. And then basically take as long as you like to do it. Do 1 of the climbs, 2 of the climbs, all 3 of the climbs, whatever you got time for, whatever you fancy. For anyone watching the live stream and fancies getting involved, hasn't registered just yet, all you need to do, guys, is go onto our website and register up for our newsletter. That's it. It's totally free, and then we'll circulate the joining links to our newsletter registrants, sign-ups on the morning of the event. Okay, that's pretty much it, guys. So in terms of tonight's session, I've just mentioned briefly kind of what we're going to talk about, but I think the main reason people are probably here is because they want to talk about Saturday. So let me just get my technology sorted. I'm just going to bring up Paul and Kate. So there you are. You're now famous, guys. How you doing? You okay? Let me just.
Good. Feeling a bit bad just sitting here drinking tea while you're working away.
Well, you've probably done this twice today, haven't you? Going up Cotswold or something?
It's for the first frosty day when we can't get out on the bikes here.
Yeah, I was chatting to.
Outside.
Sorry, Kate.
No, on the ground outside.
I don't feel too sorry for you guys because I was chatting to Paul what you guys have been up to recently, and you don't have a tough life, so I'm not going to feel too bad for you that you had a little bit of frost. Paul was saying that you guys were doing, you couldn't go skiing because there wasn't enough snow because it was too nice, so you were forced to do the Rapper 500 or something like that.
Yep, that's right.
Awful. How did you possibly cope with that? Yeah, so guys, this is Paul and Kate from Serre, Ormes. And one of the things I just wanted to do whilst we're having a little chat is just show you what you're dealing with when you're talking about Serre, Ormes. So this is it. That's their house. If you can see it on my. Let me just pin myself again. Those guys in Zoom. So this is what we're on about. That's one of the lakes where you go swimming. Probably a bit too much lake viewing for cyclists. But yeah, guys, you just want to tell us a little bit about you and Serre, Ormes.
We've been here for 7 years now, and we absolutely love cycling and wanted to show people this amazing area, which is, apart from VENTOUX, the area around us is really unknown because most people head south of VENTOUX. So the col you're doing tonight, Col Saint-Jean, and then there's heaps of other cols around us. Little cols, tiny roads. The road you're going up, you rarely even see a car going on it. So it's just a really unspoiled area, which makes it perfect for cycling.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about your neck of the woods, isn't it? Like everyone, the big selling point is VENTOUX, but you've got some insane cols and climbs around you, don't you? And it's not just the cols; it's got pretty much any possible scenery you can imagine.
Exactly, yeah, and it's nice and varied. VENTOUX on one side, and then on the other side we've got the Alps, which is a completely different scenery altogether. So you can decide which way to go, or a bit further south, and it's more olive groves and a bit more rolling hills. So there's a nice you can go three ways and have completely different landscapes.
Yeah. Well, we are just looking at some images now of VENTOUX. Those riders in the front look like they're wearing RIAK kit, but they actually weren't. But it's a very good shot. So I was hoping you guys would just tell us a little bit more about VENTOUX and your experience of it and how different the three climbs are.
They are they're completely different. So is the easiest one because it's the least amount of climbing. You start higher than the other two climbs. And actually it's brilliant for a first time at VENTOUX if it is the first time you're going up, because the first 20k, almost you're surprised you've done it and you've only got 6k to go. And then the last 6k, it does ramp up and it gets a lot harder. I really, really like it because it's actually quite fun. There's some really fast rolling bits on that first 20k. It is the toughest one to do first because actually it's quite nice to have it as the last one when your legs are really tired.
It's great because it's one of the ones when quite a few guests come here and have read about VENTOUX and just put off about it because we get quite a mix of guests here and some of them just got no intention of climbing VENTOUX, and at the end of the week we're saying, well, we reckon you can do it because it's 20k of 3-4%, and then you get to your 6k from the top when you hit Chalet Reynard, which is a shared finish with Bedouin, and from there you can see the top, and you've already done a good chunk of the climbing, and so a lot of people guess some of our best days are actually going up that climb because it's people who have no expectations of being able to do it, climb VENTOUX, get up there, and they're able to share that last 6k with sort of the last other people going up, past the Tommy Simpson Memorial, famous landscape, lunar landscape, and then you know, you're seeing those hairpins, the tower from about 3 hairpins back. It's just each one, it gets closer and closer. But unfortunately, if you're doing the Cinglés, you've got to do it another 2 times.
It's the most accessible one, I'd say. Like, if you're doing all 3, just it'd be really tempting to totally go for it on that first one because it'll feel really easy. But I would recommend being careful on that first one because you could easily like burn all your energy out because it's only going to get harder.
Yeah,
it's a nice way. It's a nice way to start the day, though. I think because Rich, and when we did it, this is the way we started on the slow climb, and it is a nice way to start the day because you do get 20k of 3-4%, and
Like
it's a good warm up. Whereas at least you can enjoy the first one.
Yeah, I remember we when I did this last with you guys, I remember I was quite fit at the time, and I was a bit cocky, and we weren't doing the Cinglés, we were doing what's it called?
The Gorge Jeunesse?
Yes, Gorge Jeunesse. And I was getting a bit cocky, and I sort of final 6k, and I started pushing on, and that's the hardest part. And then it was quickly apparent that I wasn't as fit as I thought it was, and I was trying to chase this French bloke who was just absolutely gassing me. That was a bit of a hit to the ego, but it was good fun. So I second what you're saying about not going too hard on that first one up, because yeah, although you've got a nice long descent the other side, there's not much pedaling on it, so like flushing out
no, you don't.
Is hard.
Yeah,
you just got nothing under the pedals basically.
And when you turn around to come back up to do the next climb, yeah, your legs are completely dead because you've just spent.
Yeah.
Because you just got ill for.
Yeah, you basically have cafe legs, don't you?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's different to a lot of the climbs in the UK, especially in sort of the north, or Devon way, where Kate's from, in the north, where I'm from, where it's sort of steep, short, sharp climbs. And MONT-VENTOUX especially, it's just a long climb. Bedouin's 10%, gets up to 10%. Malisan's 11, a couple of kilometres at 11, 12%. It's you're in the saddle for a long time. So it's Kate's great at getting up there with guests, because you can't hold a conversation at the bottom, and you're going to be struggling at the top.
You actually, the Bedouin side, I really like the Bedouin side, mainly because loads of people pass you at the bottom, and it's pretty certain thing you're going to see them again in a few K, because I start out way too hard on that Bedouin side and just die within about 5K.
Well, that's it about Bedouin, isn't it? You move towards the first 4 or so Ks, and that's pretty sort of manageable gradients, and then suddenly you're into 9, 10s and 11s pretty much for the rest of the time.
And it's really sustained, it doesn't change, and also, which doesn't affect you on your turbo, the scenery doesn't change. You're in a tunnel of trees on a 9% climb, and you might as well be on a turbo trainer.
So it's actually great. This is actually great practice, because we're at the middle.
Yeah, totally.
We render the course with, as you see at the top of my screen, with WahooRGT's Magic Roads, and we do get a pretty generic scenery, unfortunately. So it's not going to be too dissimilar.
It'll feel just like the real thing. Bedouin side, anyway.
Yeah. Well, what about Malisan? Because that seems to be the side that not that many people know about, really.
Totally, and it's my favourite side in terms of views, and it's quite nice because the gradient is really varied, but there's some bits which are way tougher than the Bedouin side, but shorter sections, and then there's some bits which are slightly easier. Overall, I think even if you're doing them, I think it's the hardest climb of the 3, but it's sort of the most rewarding, and it has great views looking north over the Alps. Normally see some snowy peaks.
It's certainly hardest 2 or 3K on MONT-VENTOUX. There's 2 or 3K when it's 11, 12% continuously, and it's just long straight road. You just see it going on forever.
I think that's
and
this section here at about 12 Ks or so up it. 12 to 14 Ks is where it looks like it runs.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
it does
yeah.
feel really. I think it even goes to 14%. Actually,
Yeah,
it feels
yeah.
really brutal, that section.
Yeah, I remember that actually. I do remember. Is that
Yeah.
when you go up to like, is there a junction? You turn up?
Yeah, it's not. It's before. It's a bit before
Just
you hit the
before
ski
that,
station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that now. So I remember that point where I was doing it with Paul, he was chatting to me. And that was the point I was like, I don't know what to even say anything. I was like, yeah, I'm not available for talking right now.
It's normally Paul who's not available for
Yeah, it's
talking.
normally me.
So.
I think you go through phases, and it's just whether
Yeah,
your
totally.
phases line up with each other or not.
And they generally don't, though, do they?
Yeah, no, I found the Madison side the hardest. So that's the one we'll be doing second for anyone joining us next
Yeah.
weekend. Bedouin will be doing last, but you just look at that average gradient. I know it's not much, but it's coming out as just 0.1% higher, which over the course of 20 Ks actually it will have a bit of an impact, that one. But you see, yeah, it's a progress with the KOM on that on Bedouin. That's interesting. But yeah,
I did the last time I did the Cinglés was with a 13-year-old kid, and because his dad was supposed to do it with him, but he broke his collarbone, so couldn't. And going up the Bedouin side, him and I talked non-stop the whole way up. And but then the Malocène side, we got a bit quieter, and by the time we were doing so, I don't think we said a word.
The gate is pretty unusual.
I think one of my kind of resounding memories. So I did Les Cinglés with Paul like years and years ago, and then a couple of years ago we just did the So route and Gorge to Ormes. And when we did the So route the second time, I just remember you just saw like everything. There was e-bikes, there was like electrical trainer guys, there's hand cycles.
Yeah, totally.
It seemed to have gone nuts in terms of accessibility and popularity.
Tens of thousands of people do it, and even on the least likely days, you think there'd be a cyclist there. We ran a loop on VENTOUX on the 1st of January, around the top of it, and it was grim. It was thick fog, and it was freezing cold and really windy at the top. We said we're really glad we hadn't cycled it, because we have cycled it quite a few times round about New Year. But there was cyclists going up it. It does it any day of the year, no matter how grim it is. There's still cyclists on it. Apart from when there's physically so much snow, they can't.
Sometimes they shut the top, don't they?
Yeah, the top is shut from November to April time, especially the Malocène shut a bit later on than that.
Because there's a ski station and it's the north side, so the snow.
Last, but yeah, you can normally duck under the barriers and get up as far as you can if there's no snow.
Well, I hopefully we haven't scared too many people, but that's just a little bit of a taste of what you're in store for. I think for anybody that is slightly nervous looking at some of those gradients, just like a little reminder that one of the things you can do in RGT is you can actually turn your trainer feedback down. So if you're having a dark moment, you can always turn the resistance down and then just work off your own power. That's if you've got a smart trainer or a smart bike. You can turn the resistance right down, so it essentially simulates a perfectly flat gradient. So just remember that, guys, when you're doing it on Saturday. We will remind you that if you're having a dark moment, you can make it a bit easier for yourself. We should probably
It's massively impressive. I'm impressed doing all of that. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, turning the legs with.
I don't know if you noticed, but last weekend we did the virtual world 24-hour time trials, and literally people on their turbo for 24 hours. And we were chatting to a fair few of them as they went. I couldn't believe how chirpy they were. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, we were sat behind a computer for 24 hours, and I was getting quite grumpy by the end. I won't lie to you. But these guys are super chirpy. It was amazing.
Yep. But amazing.
We should probably let you guys get, because they're obviously an hour ahead, so it's at least you're coming out to 8:30 for them. So we should probably let you guys crack on. But I understand you guys have got a bit of an offer for those doing their Cinglés at the weekend.
Totally, we're so impressed that anyone would do that on a turbo or on a trainer. That we're offering 10% if you make it up all 3 sides, but 5% if you make it up one side of VONT-VENTOUX off a week's holiday with us, and then you can come and do it for real.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the perfect preparation for it, the weekend. And of course, guys, all the details for Serre are up on our website and links, etc. So you'll be able to check that out. I would really recommend it. Like, if I do.
We should have also said we're full into like testing lots of recipes, and food's a massive thing here as well. So if you like your food and cake every day when you come back from your bike ride, it's a lot of local, organic, amazing produce. Then it could also be a good place for you.
I can definitely give you a shout for the cake, and also the gardening tips. I remember last time I was there, you were teaching me how to garden essentially.
I've forgotten that.
But now we've got a garden. It's actually coming into use. I really like.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So guys, I've got the details of Serre and up on our website. I really recommend checking it out. I'll just show you some of the images again. Like, it is just absolute cycling paradise. So I really recommend checking it out, guys. But we'll let you go have some dinner now, shall we?
Cheers.
Good luck, guys. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Right, let's get back onto the same page. Thanks to Paul and Kate again. We're back on Col Saint-Jean. There's a nice little warm up. So you can see where we are on the topo. We're getting there. We're getting pretty close to some of the naughtier ramps up there, where you get those ominous red sections. But yeah, just a quick reminder, guys. Like, if you are struggling a little bit tonight, or you want to take it easy tonight, or on Saturday you're suffering a little bit, you can go to the sensors menu and try and train the difficulty right down. You turn that to 100%. This is if you've got a smart trainer or a smart bike, by the way. If you turn it to 100%, it will simulate the gradients exactly. I've got it turned down to 0, just so I can hold a constant power and still talk. But yeah, that's what we're up to today. And we've had a lovely chat about VONT-VENTOUX. We're recording all of this, guys, so if you want to kind of geek out on VONT-VENTOUX again, you'll be able to watch this recording. We'll make it available on our website, so you can have a geek out sesh. I really also recommend having a look at a resource called Velo Viewer, which basically you can kind of analyze Strava segments to a greater degree than you actually can on Strava. So have a look at that. It's free. Everyone likes free. But yeah, so we've got I'm going to stay on for about another half an hour. So I just thought I'd talk to you about a few things in terms of climbing and just a couple of little tips, really. Some of which, you know, is more applicable to kind of climbing outside. But there are a few things here which will help you on Saturday. Okay, so the first thing I just want to talk about is positioning on the bike. It's something that's often, I guess, overlooked, not really taught that much, really. I mean, not that you don't really get taught to ride properly full stop, particularly when you're in the UK and a kid. But just one of the kind of top tips, and my uncle, who's a world cycling coach, taught me this. And honestly, it's the best climbing tip I've ever had. But just like your hand placement, okay? So we're used to kind of riding on the hood probably, or down the drops, you're getting airy. But just try placing your hands in the middle of the bars, and then just softening your elbows a little bit. And try doing this with the gradient up, the trainer feedback on. Okay, so what this does, guys, with your hands right in the middle near the stem, it does a few things really. One, it shortens the length of that lever. So it helps you keep the wheel straight, which obviously on the turbo isn't such a big deal, but when you're on a climb that's particularly aggressive, maybe the road surface isn't great, being able to just keep that wheel straight and not have like every little twitch of your arm making you lose a few centimeters, which will add up over VONT-VENTOUX. Trust me, okay? You want to keep that wheel nice and straight, and you want to ride obviously the fastest line, the straightest line of that climb. So that's just one little top tip when you're out out on the roads. You hit a climb, a climb that you can kind of spin up comfortably. Get those hands in the middle of the bar, but then also try and remain relaxed in the upper body. Okay, we always talk about this in our sessions. If your arms are locked out like this, your ears are pinned, your shoulders are pinned towards your ears, you get all this tension in your neck. Okay, and that's not going to help anybody. So just relax in the arms. Your elbows, when they're slightly stopped like this, they act like shock absorbers, which again is important, particularly when you're climbing in the road surface. It's a bit gammy. Okay, you need to be able to handle those vibrations, and again with the hands in the middle, keep that wheel running true. Now, the other reason this position is good is because it encourages you to push your bum towards the rear of the saddle. Now, if you do the opposite, if you go down the drops, you can probably feel the shift in pressure from your bum more to kind of like the bridge between the more delicate parts, shall we say. And so we put your hands in the middle and you just shift you back a little bit, put your bum towards the rear of the saddle, and that gets your glutes more involved. Okay, your glutes are just infinitely powerful. So often we don't use them properly, we don't get them active. So just sitting back a little bit towards the back of your saddle, you're just going to unlock a little bit extra power. And then what that also does, if you think about it, shifting you back, it's going to point more of your weight over the rear wheel, which means that rear wheel is going to be further weighted towards the floor, going to be stuck to the ground, and you're going to have better traction. Because one of the things that you can, particularly again if the road surface is not great, if you're out the saddle all the time like this, what that does is it unloads the rear wheel and you can get a lot of wheel slip, and that's just wasted energy, guys. So you're sitting back on the saddle like this, it's going to plant the back wheel on the floor, and it means you're going to have greater torque and you're going to be able to utilise more of that power you're putting out into the pedals. And particularly if you're a triathlete, we are a triathlon and cycling coaching outfit. What we tend to find with triathletes is because they're so often in a TT position like this, they tend to sort of shuffle themselves forwards, and it makes you very hamstring dominant. So if you are a triathlete, you want to get better in the climbs, and you just want to ride a road bike better, just check what you're doing. Try not to sit on the nose of the saddle all the time. Get your bum right to the back and get those glutes involved. Now, one thing you also want to bear in mind when it comes to positioning, and something that often gets kind of drawn out when you're in the climbs, and the cadence slows, the power goes up, and there's more kind of force going through your knees, it's how bad your bike fit might be. Okay, so if you want to get better in the climbs, guys, you want to get better at cycling full stop, one of the best investments you can make, alongside obviously getting a knowledgeable coach, is a proper bike fit. I can't tell you how much a good bike fit changes your world. Particularly if you're really keen and you're training for something like Les Cinglés or the 24-hour world or something really ultra endurance, making sure your bike fits you properly, it can make a real big difference, can be the difference between finishing and not finishing. Okay, so ideally, you want to be able to have about a 15-degree bend in your knee at the bottom of the pedal string. There or thereabouts, it's really individual. And you can properly extend your hamstrings, not to full extension, but just so that they are not cramping up, basically. Now, again, in terms of, we talked about positioning, one of the downsides of putting your hands in the middle of the bars, it does lift your chest up. And typically aero drag is usually the biggest output, the biggest energy output to overcome. But over about 5% incline, actually gravity becomes the biggest factor that you need to overcome. So when you get over about 5%, actually being able to put out power and ride comfortably and maintain a nice high cadence, that's more important. You will obviously see the pros when they're doing something like MONT-VENTOUX, sometimes they will get low, and that's when they're ready to attack. And that's because they're going to be at speeds where suddenly aerodynamics do matter again. unfortunately for us mere mortals, it's unlikely that our speed will be enough that aerodynamics once again become the primary output to overcome. Okay, so that's just a little bit about positioning. I'll just pause briefly in case anyone's got any questions. Do feel free to unmute yourself and ask away if you're on Zoom. Otherwise, I'll just get a quick little drink.
Richard, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
On the downhills, do we need to pedal or can we freewheel the whole way down?
So yeah, good question. Yeah, quite for a lot of it, you're going to be able to freewheel for sure. And particularly on a turbo, yeah, could be a little bit boring, which is why we're going to have a few things available on the day to keep you entertained. But you do need to stay on the bike and you do need to keep on it. Because there are going to be sections where it is going to flatten out and you're going to need to pedal through them. But not many. So the downhill sections there very much are your recovery. Okay? And it's important you use them wisely. You remember one of the things I said earlier to Kate was about the fact that there's not much pedaling on the descents because they're just as aggressive as the ascents. And you get to the bottom and you have cafe legs because your legs just gone completely to sleep. And one of the other things is because you can't pedal, you can't turn over your legs really, you can't flush out the lactate that's built up. And that's one of the real challenges you're going to face with the course. It's like you're on the pedals or you're not. There's no kind of like flowing flat sections, unfortunately. But yeah, that is the challenge. So one of the things you're going to want to do is that when you come into that second or third ascent, you have to take the first couple of Ks easy and just kind of almost warm up again until the legs switch on. It's important that you don't try and go too hard because otherwise that first couple of Ks you'll go anaerobic and flood your system with lactate again. So take the first few Ks or the second and third climb easy and build into it.
Okay. Another question on that, which is regarding RGT.
Yeah.
On Saturday last, I did a couple of ascents of Stelvio.
Yeah.
And didn't pedal on the way down on the first one. And when I got to the bottom, I had no power. It had dropped.
Yeah.
And one of the guys I was riding with did the same. So I'm guessing from an RGT point of view, you have to pedal every so often just to keep yourself in the game.
Yeah, that's a really good point to raise actually. It will be in our kind of final instructions along with some other tips. But with RGT, if you are idle, if there's no power input for more than about 20 minutes, you'll get kicked out. Because basically the RGT, they have to be pretty strict on managing kind of data memory use. And if somebody's just idling on a course for too long, they kind of have to boot people out to free up space. So yeah, that's a really good point. So just on the ascent, you're not going to be pedaling, but you do still need to pedal. That makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah, so just keep an eye on the time, and if you get to around the 15-minute mark, just pedal up a little bit, and also kind of keep your leg kicking over. It will flush out some of the lactate. I'm not saying it just won't be recycled at all, but just ideally you'd have a bit of power underneath the pedals.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
No worries. Yeah, we've got there's a whole bunch of tips that we'll put out. As WahooRGT is a fantastic platform. We couldn't do this on any other platform basically, but it's still a young platform. It's still got its issues, and both Riley and I, the other co-founder of the online events company, we've got a lot of experience. I do a lot of racing on RGT. We've got our e-racing team. I do a coach session every week. So between us, we know most of the kind of idiosyncrasies. So we'll do our best to make sure everyone's aware of things in advance. But also, when you're doing the session, guys, we are going to be there. I'm half thinking about doing it myself, but we'll be running a live stream, complete with a Zoom feed, much like this. So you'll be able to basically ask questions as we go. So there will be tech support if you need it. Well, a form of tech support, not official tech support. If you do have proper tech issues, the RGT guys should be your port of call. And there are also some really good user groups on Facebook, and in particular there's one which is dedicated to tech support, and there's tons of really helpful, knowledgeable people on that group, so that if you have a pretty urgent issue, if you can't get hold of us for whatever reason, those user groups are usually very responsive. Again, we'll provide details of all of those. Very much for your question. Is that Andrew?
It's Andrew, yeah. Andy or Andrew, yeah. I've got another question, if I may, Rich.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is, if I know this is sort of what is the length of a piece of string, but at this sort of pace that we're riding tonight, what's the sort of an expected sort of time to complete all three?
Oh, good question. Well, what are we at now? About 40 minutes. And this route is around 23 k's, I think. So you could probably use this route as relatively reflective, I guess. It's a fair bit easier because the actual climb is much shorter, and we had that sort of longer course flat. But yeah, it's really hard to say.
I'm just trying to get an idea of whether it's 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours.
I think you're probably talking more than 8 hours. I think it's going to be it's a long day in office. I mean, that's why we're running it. So our kind of our thing is like these epic events, utilising an exclusive 24-hour server. So yeah, it's going to be a long day in the office. Yeah, and I can tell you I had a look at when I did it in real world. I think I should have checked before I came on. I checked it. Bit of a squiffy section on the road there. I checked it when I came on. I'll try and find it. I'm already on.
Okay, thank you.
I'll try and find it. But yeah, it's a long day in the office, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Rich.
No worries, man. Thanks very much for your questions. It's always great when people ask questions. It gives me a break of thinking. Cool. Okay, so just going back to our sort of workshop, we're talking about the training now. Climbing, getting better in the hills. Oh man, it's so varied. You know, doing a climb like this as opposed to the sort of stuff that we have in the UK. It's night and day, guys. And again, I know I've been pretty heavy with the plug on Serre, but it is honestly just the best place, particularly if you're, you're not super confident in the hills and in the long climbs. So I know we recommend it to our athletes a lot because we got quite a few, less experienced athletes, and they might have signed up to Outdoor Triathlon or something like that. And we say, we often recommend Serre because there's so many climbs around there which are very long, 15, 20 k's, but anyone can do it. I think this is the wonderful thing about that neck of the woods. VENTOUX is very tough, but I think most people, everyone has it in them. It's just, it's about kind of building confidence and just giving it a go, I guess. So in the UK, it's hard to train for these types of events because in the UK, you're talking, a max length of climb, a proper climb, 3 to 6 kilometers. Probably the limit, really, if it's not like a false flat. Because basically in the UK, all we got is, rolling or, a wall, basically. And so in the UK, we tend to looking at sort of 3 to 5 minute efforts. and particularly if you're going full gas, that puts it firmly in sort of a VO2 max power range. So you're like at the very limit of your aerobic kind of capacity. Whereas a climb like this is very different. It's very long, very sustained. This is much more sort of a high tempo, sweet spot effort. Now, let's see if I can do a transition to our training zone shots. Let that one down. So, this chart, guys, I'll just ignore the fact that my camera is blocking off the bottom of the logo. It's not important, you know who we are. So this chart, guys, this chart is available on the RIAK Fitness website. You go to the training resources section, which is on pretty much every page. Basically, what we're looking at is, in the UK, if you're blasting up a climb, you're in that zone 5, maybe zone 4 area, depending on your level. And then when it comes to something like this, or VENTOUX, if you are pushing it hard, you're going to be sub-threshold, because as Andy and I just discussed, it is a long day in the office, and each climb, each ascent, you know, you're not talking a minute, you're talking at least an hour, I would say. And so, yeah, you're not going to be able to sustain a super threshold effort the entire time. So if you are doing it next Saturday, guys, I'd really come to it with a bit of a plan. You know, what is the sort of power that you can put out for, you know, more than an hour at a time, while still being, you know, riding strong and just getting up the thing as efficiently as you can. You know, you're very much going to be talking about that zone 3, sort of 80% of FTP, maybe up to around 90% of FTP, sweet spot area. And I would suggest you look at that and you try and keep your power below that FTP mark, unless you absolutely have to get over some of the harder sections, like in where we're talking about Malacen, where there's a 14% section. That you might not have any choice. It's the case of survival. So I'm going to go into it with a plan, guys. Go into it, you know, thinking roughly what sort of power you can sustain for such a long day. Bearing in mind, you're obviously going to have quite a lot of recovery between climbs. You still don't want to be, you know, flushing out too much lactate in your legs. Okay. So in terms of training for these climbs, it's almost like a time trial type effort. You know, sweet spot, threshold, they're time trial efforts. For, you know, 40 kilometre time trial is generally used as an FTP test for some people, particularly if you're at the fast end. You know, you're looking around 60 minutes for a 40k time trial, getting some good FTP numbers. And so, yeah, very much like long, sustained efforts is how you're going to get better at these types of climbs, rather than the really explosive stuff. Obviously, you still want to do some explosive stuff, but it is those kind of FTP type efforts that are going to improve your ability to hold power for such a long time. Okay? And you know, so what we're looking at really is the difference between someone like Mathieu van der Poel and, you know, Annemiek van Vleuten. Although she is super explosive, but you know, she in the climbs is just relentless, because she can hit at constant power and just churn those pedals for hours after hours, and suffer more than anyone else. But you're talking two kind of different physiologies. Maybe a better comparison might be, you know, someone like, you know, Marianne Vos and Chris Froome. Very different physiologies. Marianne Vos, the greatest cyclist of all time, one of the greatest sprinters of all time. Chris Froome, one of the greatest stick insects of all time. He's incredible, but you know, he's, you know, long, steady efforts. You've seen him so many times over the years, staring at his power meter, making sure he's staying at a level where he knows he can keep it. Cadence is also important, guys. So there's lots of debate over cadence, so what is the ideal cadence, but the vast majority of us will sit nicely within about 80 to 100 RPM. So bear that in mind. Oh, that's gone a bit messy. Sorry, there's so many different themes that choosing from. So yes, long steady efforts, kind of around top end of the tempo, sweet spot, and around threshold, and that's going to be what's going to lift you up. Now, one of the other debates is around strength endurance training, is sometimes what it can be called. Generally, what I mean is low cadence, high powered work, and this is a really kind of contentious debate, but I will stick out my neck slightly. I'm yet to see any science backing up low cadence, high power work, because it's kind of like your body is so specific in the way it makes adaptations. You do lots of low cadence, high power work, you get better at pushing a big gear at a low cadence. It's like strength training, you know. Strength training is great for kind of building strength and inherent strength, but that power isn't directly transferable. It's more about kind of building muscular balance, mobility, you know, and recruiting kind of muscle mass. It doesn't make you directly a better cyclist or a more powerful cyclist. And even more so, strength endurance, like low cadence, high power stuff. It's just, in my opinion, there's so many other things that people need to do before they get to that sort of training. The vast majority of people actually need to work on a more efficient cadence, holding a higher cadence, particularly when they're less experienced, and pedaling efficiently. So that's just kind of my view on it. I'm yet to see any kind of proper research that backs up low cadence, high power training regularly and how effective it is, but I'm sure somebody can give me a hiding on that one. They profess to be an expert on that. Yeah, so really when it comes to climbing, it's more about being relaxed. We talked about hand positioning, particularly when you're on the steeper slopes, but staying relaxed, okay, drawing those shoulders away from the ears and training that, getting used to doing it and staying kind of disciplined, holding that position. You know, Alberto Contador was, you know, always out of saddle like this, dancing away. Bloody hell did he look good doing it. But, you know, that's, you know, he's a freak basically, because the vast majority of us, I talked about earlier about when you're out in the saddle like that, you lose traction, except a little bit of traction. Yeah, everything I know is more efficient, particularly on a long drawn out climb like this. Better to be kind of in a more efficient high cadence type style. I personally am out of the saddle quite a lot anyway, but I do that primarily to sort of redistribute blood flow. You know, you just get 4 or 5 pedal strokes out of the saddle, sit back down again, just to kind of let the blood get back to areas and get the emphasis on your muscles just for a second. But climbing, strength training and core stability are also crucial. So lots of single limb work, lots of single leg work, so split squats, lunges, things like that, creating as much unilateral balance as possible, so making sure both your legs are strong as each other. And cycling is terrible for building muscular imbalances, because we've got this asymmetrical human and we're sticking them on a symmetrical bike. We did a long, in the VWTTC, Riley and I did a bit of a chat about this. But yeah, basically strength training is great for redressing some of those postural issues that cycling causes. So yeah, lots of core work, lots of strength training, lots of long drawn out efforts at around tempo sweet spot area. That's the sort of training you want to do to get better in these long sustained climbs. Getting better in the UK stuff, that's short. We're talking 3-5 minute all out efforts, sort of at around the VO2 level. So very much super threshold. Okay, so it's kind of like the two ends of the spectrum really. Now, the last thing I just want to talk about is power to weight ratio, because it is a bit of an obsession in cycling, being as light as possible. But guys, you know, it's not the be all and end all. Okay, you know, the biggest contributors to energy loss are aero drag and body weight. But okay, body weight is not the be all and end all. You know, if you do want to lean up a little bit, improve your power to weight ratio, do it safely. A very small calorie deficit, backed up with strength training, which will help build muscle mass and lift your basal metabolic rate. But starving yourself and training like crazy to lose weight, it's not the way forward. It's not sustainable, guys. And also, it depends on your physiology. You know, I'm built like a little barrel, basically. I'm a former rugby player. If you saw us acres, we're all short and squat, like little trolls. You know, my physiology is never going to allow me to be a super lightweight climber. You know, I put on muscle mass pretty well. I also put on body fat probably about as easily as well. You're just having an appreciation for your physiology and how likely it is you're going to be able to improve your power to weight ratio by weight loss, how realistic that is and how sustainable it is. You've got to be realistic on that, guys. For the vast majority of us, you know, just consistent training, you know, piecing those sessions together is the best way of leaning up rather than messing around with diet, assuming that we're eating properly anyway. You know, so, and also, as I say about physiology, I always think about Jakob Fuglsang when I talk about this stuff. So he did a really interesting interview a couple of years ago where he's basically saying, you know, he tried to go into GC, lost tons of weight, was dieting all the time, was absolutely miserable, and he just lost a ton of power. And then when he went back to kind of focusing on the classics and stuff, I think it was Il Lombardia, Tour of Lombardy, I think it was, where he turned into a monster again. Like, he put on a few kilos, he'd been doing strength training, and he was just an absolute monster. And he said it's because, you know, I basically went back to my natural weight and all my power returned, and suddenly he's at the front again, you know, just churning it up. So just bear that in mind, guys. Your physical, genetically disposed to certain physiological traits. You know, trying to battle against that on a long-term basis, I'm not getting that one. It's best to acknowledge kind of what your traits are and work with them and do your best. It doesn't mean, you know, allow yourself to come a bit roly-poly. It's more about just, you know, understanding that your physiology may or may not be disposed one way or another towards being lean or not. Okay? So don't obsess about power to weight ratio. Focus on the power, on the training. Get stronger. And if you train consistently and you're perhaps carrying a few extra kilos, that weight will come off simply by the fact that you're piecing together really good blocks of training and hopefully eating well as well. Making sure it's all fueled. Because if you're fueled, you're training consistently, your body will naturally want to retain, or naturally need to retain less body fat. Okay? And lots of long base mileage in there as well to encourage your body to burn that fat. Wow, my voice has gone all squeaky. And the last week we did the VW2CC at the weekend, doing a lot of teeth talking, not much sleep, and my voice is very much going. So we're just coming towards the top of the climb now, and then I will sign off and leave you guys alone. But in the meantime, I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about. Obviously, I've covered it very high level because that's all I've really got time for. If anyone's got any questions either about Les Cinglés, MONT-VENTOUX, or what we chatted about, then do feel free to pipe up. I'm all ears, otherwise I'm on retreat. So we're getting very close to the top now. I'll work out how far we've got to go. Not too far. So just back onto Les Cinglés again. So we're starting on Saturday, next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday at 10 AM GMT. Just all you have to do to register is sign up to the TOEC, the online events company newsletter, and we'll circulate you the link in the morning. There will be a live feed going alongside, and we'll also have a Zoom meeting open so people can come and have a chat with us. Join us on commentary. I'm half thinking about doing anything myself, we'll see. And the other thing, guys, everyone who does the event will be eligible for a little virtual goodie bag, which includes 3 months free tier 2 subscription to Precision Rewards. Now, if you've not checked that out, guys, go to our website. They're one of our partners. The brands that they have discount on is ridiculous. I think tier 2 is 20%, and some of them are like Wahoo, Hoob, really good discounts. And we'll also, of course, have discounts for a few of our other partners. And also, you heard Paul and Kate talking earlier. If you join and do all 3 times, they're very happy to offer anyone that does all 3 a lovely 10% discount on a stay with Serre and Ormes. And if you do just the first one, they're very generous in offering 5% discount. So guys, really check out their website. It's honestly, I just love it out there. I wish I had, you know, a higher base income, and I'd be out there all the time. So we're over the top now onto the descent. This descent is intended just to be a bit of a cool down. So just take it easy, guys. Just spin up the legs and just enjoy the relative ease. But thanks very much, everyone, for your company. I will just be silent for a second, just in case anyone's got any last minute questions, or I'll let you just sort of drift down the descent and cover. Okay then, if no one's got any questions, I'll sign off. But just remember, anyone that is doing it on Saturday, there's tons of help videos on our YouTube channel, including how to join a WahooRGT event. There's, what else is there? Yeah, we've got a few tech support videos on there. All the details regarding the event itself are up on the event page on our website, and we'll be circulating more kind of helpful links, videos, and more information about the event over the course of the next few days. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for everyone's company. Yeah, adieu.
Thanks for your help and your time, Rich.
No worries.
Much appreciated.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Have a lovely evening.